Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're investigating a truly fascinating psychological mystery drawn straight from a classic piece of research on workplace stress. Have you ever wondered why some people seem totally, utterly unshakable, while others facing the exact same daily grind just completely break down? Well, we're going to explore a groundbreaking study that actually found the answer, and it found it in one of the most stressful, chaotic environments you could possibly imagine, the streets of 1980s Chicago.
So, let's dive right into this core question. Why does severe stress make one person sick but leave another perfectly healthy? I mean, we all deal with stress, right? But our biological reaction to it varies so wildly. Picture two people facing the exact same grueling conditions. One person crumbles under the intense pressure and develops real, debilitating physical illnesses. But the other person? They completely thrive. They stay healthy, resilient, and focused. What exactly is that invisible shield protecting the second person?
To figure this out, we're looking at a classic 1980s study, originally done as a University of Chicago dissertation, which was later published in the Journal of Occupational Medicine. Now get this, the researcher, Paul T. Bartone, didn't just observe his subjects from some ivory tower. He was actually embedded in the world he was studying. He was a grad student, sure, but he was literally a Chicago City bus driver himself. He used his unique insider perspective, teaming up with the Amalgamated Transit Union Local 241 to survey nearly 800 drivers to uncover what actually moderates stress on the ground. And the sheer volume of severe daily stressors these transit operators faced is just wow. It paints a really vivid picture of a highly chaotic work environment. The source material outlines this relentless barrage of work hassles. We're not just talking about an annoying boss or a tough deadline here. We're talking about chronic traffic noise, breathing in pollution like carbon monoxide and lead, the constant physical vibration of driving heavy equipment, and the very real personal danger of dealing with uncooperative passengers just walking right past the fare box without paying. Add in broken emergency radios and impossible time delays, you've got a recipe for immense physiological strain.
Which perfectly sets up our paradox. Bartone narrowed down his massive sample to isolate two highly specific groups of drivers. Both groups experienced the exact same intense level of stress, the crazy traffic, the pollution, the broken radios, but they ended up with vastly different physical health outcomes. Group A is our high-stress and high-illness group, and they suffered from serious physician-diagnosed illnesses and somatic complaints. Meanwhile, Group B is our high-stress and low-illness group. Same exact streets, same job, but virtually zero physical toll.
When he dug into what the unhealthy drivers, Group A, were doing differently, he found a major culprit. It's a behavior called regressive coping. Basically, the text defines this as ways of avoiding dealing with stress-provoking situations. So instead of actively managing the chaos around them, these drivers were essentially just checking out. They might deny the problem, totally detach from their surroundings, or just try to ignore the broken radio or the fare evader entirely.
And here's the crucial point. Trying to simply avoid or detach from persistent workplace problems actually makes your stress so much worse over time. The study notes that, yeah, psychological numbing might be an adaptive response right after a massive extreme natural disaster, but using it to deal with chronic daily work stress, it's literally toxic. By not attending to those stressful conditions, the problems almost always worsen, which leads to a massive increase in underlying stress, and eventually that stress manifests as physical illness.
Section 2. Discovering the hero. Personality hardiness.
By eliminating what didn't work, like that really destructive regressive coping we just talked about, the analysis revealed the ultimate stress resistance resource for these blue-collar workers. It's a concept known as personality hardiness. This psychological armor is built on three distinct components, which are often called the 3 C's of resilience in the psychological literature. Basically, hardiness isn't just one single thing. It's a composite of commitment, control, and challenge. Control is the belief that you can actually influence events instead of just being a passive victim. Challenge is the mindset of viewing changes and difficulties as opportunities for growth rather than threats. And finally, commitment, which is having a deep sense of purpose and involvement in whatever you're doing. And the hard data completely backs this up with a really stark contrast. Just look at the healthy drivers, the bottom row. They scored significantly lower in regressive coping, just 11.3 compared to the sick group's 17.3. But then look at the hardiness and commitment columns. The healthy drivers scored a massive 97.1 on overall hardiness and a 44.3 specifically on commitment, vastly outperforming their unhealthy peers. The data absolutely proves the theory here.
In fact, this combination of traits was incredibly predictive. The source notes that by simply measuring a driver's regressive coping, their biological family history, and their level of commitment, the resulting model correctly predicted a driver's health group 71% of the time. I mean, think about that. In the complex world of human psychology and physical health, having a statistical model accurately predict who gets sick and who stays healthy nearly 3/4 of the time is absolutely staggering.
Moving into our next section, the ultimate shield, commitment.
So while all three components of hardiness definitely matter, the data loudly pointed to one specific trait as the absolute most important moderator of stress for these CTA drivers. It actually wasn't control. And it wasn't challenge. It was commitment. The source material makes an incredibly profound observation here. It states, the difficult job of driving a bus may be more satisfying for the driver who is convinced he is doing something important and meaningful. So the study found that drivers who viewed their work not just as a grueling, repetitive task, but as a deeply meaningful endeavor were quite literally biologically protected from the stress.
But what did this actually look like in the real world? Well, through interviews and observation, the researcher noticed that these healthy drivers didn't just punch the clock. They actively generated their own dignity. They expressed deep, genuine pride in transporting the citizens of Chicago safely around the city. They paid meticulous, special attention to the condition of their uniforms. They maintained an exceptional level of care for their buses. To them, they weren't just driving a machine. They were providing a vital civic duty. And that mindset, it completely changed their biology.
This reveals something absolutely crucial about the modern workplace. The study points out that while a sense of challenge might be amazing for creative jobs like advertising, and a sense of control is great for executives who set their own schedules, commitment is the absolute key survival tool for highly routine, blue-collar jobs. When your environment is dictated to you, when you literally can't control the traffic, the schedule, or the passengers, generating your own internal commitment is your best and sometimes your only real defense.
Essentially, finding meaning in the daily grind doesn't just make you a better or more pleasant worker, it literally keeps you physically healthy. The drivers who told the researcher it was, quote, just a job, were the ones experiencing the massive health breakdowns. The ones who found purpose effectively transformed their daily routine into real psychological and biological armor.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a final provocative thought. We all face our own versions of bad traffic, noise, and broken radios in our daily lives, right? Knowing what we now know from this incredible 1980s Chicago transit study, how can you apply this healthy bus driver's mindset to your own life? How can you cultivate that deep commitment to transform your own daily hassles into a powerful, protective sense of purpose? Take a moment to think about that, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.